My name is Leslie. I am a training slash installer for the AR part of the system. I come in and help set up the system and make sure that all of their rates are programmed correctly and we're getting the right pricing and billing information, and then I go and train the sales reps on how they use the product and things like that. I was working for the Observer Reporter out of Washington, Pennsylvania. I started out in the sales department and became kind of the assistant manager to the advertising manager for a period of time. I actually worked in technical support for about a year or two, and then they moved me into the accounting department. So I've got a very interesting range of abilities in the newspaper industry. I've tried to cover everything in the accounting world and everything in the advertising world, which gives me an interesting perspective, because a lot of times it's accounting versus advertising, and I can see the benefits on both sides. We usually go in for a week. When we walk into the door for the first week, we meet all the people and we join together the business office and the accounting people and all of the people that are involved in the advertising side of the world. Then we take all of their rate cards and get all their information about their contracts, and we just basically do what like a mind dump of what everybody in that company has to say, and then we find out all the special things that they've got going on. And once everybody's installed, we know a lot about the people that are there, and we get to form very close relationships with them. And you find out about their families and their friends, and it's exciting. You kind of form that secondary family while you're there. You become part of the group and part of the company. Initially, when they're just first going live, we're on the phone with them, potentially multiple times in any given day. But then as the weeks go on and the months go on, I've got some sites who've been up and running on Brainworks for years, and every once in a while I'll just call them to say, hi, how you doing, because they haven't contacted me for such a long period of time. Because that means there aren't any problems going on and nothing new's come up that's causing any kind of stress for them. There's a couple things that I see a lot of value in. One is our reporting. We've got our own custom ad hoc reporting that is very powerful that I haven't seen in any other system around. Secondary, we've tried to add a money-making capability to our AR system, which isn't something that you typically see through Salesforce automation, through campaigning and generating lead lists for sales reps, and giving them all the tools that they need in order to make extra sales. The people who have little knowledge of computers could actually sit down, run a report, save the report, and then do so many different things with it. They could fax it out to somebody else, they could email it out to somebody else very, very easily. They start to run more reports just to see where they are in specific areas of the system. They find out where they're failing, where they're not getting their sales, or why certain things are happening with them. They're actually proactive instead of reactive. Originally, when you're thinking about AR, you think accounting only. That's your cash, your scheduling of orders, and dealing with general accounting and billing. Basically, the more tools that you provide to the sales reps, the better off you are. That's our theory. So as a sales reps, if they've got things in their hands where they've got leads to go from, and they know who to contact, when to contact them, and they've got all of the sales information available to them either on a Palm Pilot or right on their screen, then you know that you can sit down any brand new sales rep, say, call these people, and you've got a good chance of making a sale. Once you make the sale, it's easy for them to schedule a live ad. So instead of having someone write up a handwritten ticket, give it to someone else to interpret, and have them enter in the system, the rep is taking possession of that whole process. Our callback lists are actually pulled out of our data mining reporting functionality. We generate a list for everyone who advertised last year or last month in that particular campaign, as well as they generate a data mining client list, which would be everybody who's in the same industry as that particular special section, as well as we've got the ability to bring in prospects or leads. You can access information on the palms that are in regard to the customer, their names, their addresses, phone numbers, emails, their aging, how much money they owe the customer, how much contract information they've done. And once you've got that information, they can actually schedule live orders from the Palm Pilots, have that information scheduled while they're out in the field, and it updates the information in the office automatically for them. The Palm Pilots are synced wirelessly, and they will have the ability to schedule a live ad right through the internet, so it's just like using your cellular phone. We put the customer first. That's pretty much our philosophy is anything that the customer needs, we're going to give that to them, and we're going to help them out as much as we possibly can and get them the results that they need. We try to give the perspective that we're open to anything that they want to discuss. So we try to keep it very low key and very down to earth, and we deal with day-to-day stuff. And once you start to talk about the day-to-day stuff, you find out what their challenges are and what they want to deal with, and then they come up with some great ideas on how they want to solve things. So typically what happens is a customer will approach us, they'll give us a call, or we'll be out on site and they'll say, we really need this functionality, or we've got this great idea that we'd really like to use. And then usually we will actually look at it and say, yes, this is a wonderful idea, it should be part of the system. And we get extremely excited about it, and we say, okay, where do we need to go? And we put the request through and we say, we think this is very valuable, we've heard it from other sites, and it goes through the chain of command, and finally someone will say, we agree it's going to benefit our company, it's going to benefit all these other existing sites as well. It may bring in new revenue for new customers. We figure that the more information we get from the customers, the better our product is going to be, so that we can continue to service them better and we can service our new potential customers as well. We are the cutting edge. I think we're at the top of the list when it comes to brand new things that are in the system, and things that that we have to offer versus what others have to offer. It's fun to actually hear our customers who have bought our product. They come back and they'll tell us, well, this site said that they had this version and they were able to do these things, and we went to the Brainworks site and said we already had those things in place, and that they've been installed and being used by other companies. And so it definitely puts us on the cutting edge, and we're always looking forward to finding new things and to keep us at the top and moving forward. It's exciting. We know that we're going in the right direction. So it's fun. It's challenging. Every day you don't know what you're going to get. it's always something that's brand new. We walk in every day. It's a challenge, and it's fun. Well, if someone is looking at our system, I'd say talk to our customers. Get the true opinion of people who actually use the system. That's the best policy. Look at our existing customers, talk to them, see how they see the system and how they feel about it.